Today, I bring you a modern British supercar from automotive car maker McLaren. This is the McLaren MP4-12C, and it is said to be a very special McLaren for what it is. The McLaren 12C is the original first V8 McLaren ever produced after the benchmark road McLaren F1 from the 1990s. People simply call this the McLaren 12C for short, and designed by McLaren Automotive. The 12C is one of the most underrated McLarens right now, and is really crazy to think that it's been a past decade since this car came out and still looks very modern like other fast McLarens. Here is everything you need to know about the McLaren 12C and what makes it a great exotic car bargain for McLaren. So remember how awesome the McLaren 12C was when it was in production with amazing performance, especially with some capable of spitting a lot of flames when revving, and since a lot of newer McLarens kept coming out since the 12C every year, many people have already forgotten about this car, and to mention that the car is already 10 years old, which is crazy to think about. And to be honest, I kinda get it. It really hasn't felt that long ago, considering I remember the 12C like it was last year. I mean, based on the car design and techniques, it still looks way ahead of its time. To refresh your memories, you might have discovered the 12C from a variety of racing games. Games like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, Gran Turismo, Forza, or Test Drive Unlimited, and many more. But did you know the McLaren 12C was in development back in 2007? McLaren Automotive secretly used two Ferrari 360 Modellinas and the Ultima GTR as a test mold with 12C parts to develop its first car. McLaren then built two concept prototypes incorporating the carbon monocell monocoque, which were used for testing the heat management system and performance. 2 years later, the 12C was nearly done, debuted in September 2009 at Goodwood, while the company McLaren Automotive launched just a year later in March 2010, only to have the 12C go in production in summer 2011. The 12C uses a carbon fiber chassis and powered with McLaren's 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8 like other McLarens. The 12C was the genesis of the mid-mounted V8 performance supercar with the first ever 7-speed dual clutch. The result of the engine is generating 592 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque, while the car can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 2.8 seconds, and it can run a quarter mile in about 11 seconds, and can reach to a top speed of 207 miles per hour or 333 kilometers an hour, which makes the top speed still similar to McLaren's today, and it revs up to 7,500 RPM. The 12C put up a fight to rival against the Ferrari's 458, the Lamborghini Gallardo, the Porsche GT2 RS, and many more in its first time in the Super Series issue of the Car magazine in July 2011. The 12C also came out with the convertible variant as the 12C Spider, released in 2013 with minor changes. It featured 24 more extra horsepower than the coupe version, making 616 horsepower, where the P1 was just coming out. Then McLaren ended production of the 12C in 2014, while the successor 650S Coupe replaced it. The 650S looks very related and drops like the 12C. In fact, it's not that much different from the predecessor except with updates of the same engine with more power and torque. If you forgot or question why is this McLaren called the MP4, it's simply because MP4 has been the chassis designation for all McLaren F1 cars since 1981. Stands for McLaren Project 4, resulting from the merger of Ron Dennis with McLaren. The 12 in the name refers to Vehicle Performance Index, while the C at the end refers to carbon fiber technology. So there you have it as its purpose. Over the past 2 decades ago, McLaren been through a lot with rich design history, first building the world's fastest supercar, the McLaren F1, and then you had the world's best-selling luxury supercar, the Mercedes SLR McLaren. Then during the late 2000s, McLaren moved forward to the future with a new range of their own sports cars, where Ron Dennis states his quote, "It is a long-held dream of mine to launch a range of high-performance sports cars that set new standards in the industry." The styling of this 12C looks very aggressive and brutal. Despite its age, the car still looks futuristic with high-tech electronics with aggressive styling front bumpers. The headlights are shaped to look like McLaren's logo for the first time with the McLaren badge on the trunk. The rear end has two big exhausts where the engine sounds brutal. As with the McLaren F1, carbon fiber is used in the 12C for less weight reduction. The aerodynamic spoiler is for to change airflow above, around the car and use the air to create downforce and grip for going high speeds and a unique suspension. Now, let's jump inside of the MP4-12C. Now, as soon as you jump in here, it is easy to get in and out of the car. It's not an issue at all. Now, you will notice with some cool features. When you jump inside the 12C, you see the start-stop button. There are also no climate controls either on the center control stack. So where you will find climate controls? Well, instead they are mounted on the car doors on either side, on the driver's side and on the passenger side, where the driver or passenger can mess with and adjust the climate controls whenever they want. Quite unique. The interior only has 3 air conditioning vents. You get one on the driver's side, you get one in the center above the infotainment screen, and you get one on the right side where the passenger sits. The vertical infotainment screen is also touchable with many buttons with a knob below it. The performance buttons are centered in the middle of the base control, are below the engine button with arrow for handling. You get driver mode, you get launch control, and you get winter mode. And you get the activate mode in between all of those buttons. That represents when you press launch control, you can press activate to launch control. In the base center console are buttons for reverse, neutral, and drive, and the center console storage is very minimal. At the end of the day, it's a McLaren, not a luxury sports car. And this 12C has no glove compartment either. Behind the steering wheel, there is only one single gauge cluster that looks really cool, with LCD display on both ends and shifting pedals on the steering wheel too. The car seats are stiff, but they are supportive. There are numbers of adjustments to help you keep you stuck in place, but they're not the most intuitive. So the seats are built to hug you when you're going around in a racetrack or just driving on public roads. Now let's talk about practicality of the 12C. The trunk at the front is quite decent to store many items in it, containing 6.9 cubic feet of trunk space for this model. So you can fit many items in here, but I would not consider going grocery shopping or putting large items in the 12C because this car is made for a weekend drive, to go fast, to have fun, and considering it's mid-engine going at high speeds. The 12C is set to drive fast and produce great lap times around Top Gear test track, 1 minute and 16 seconds and 7 minutes and 28 seconds at the Nürburgring. The car has outstanding performance like newer McLarens, but what's it like to drive a 10-year-old McLaren supercar? Well, the same question should be asked to people who had driven the McLaren F1. The 12C is timeless just like the F1. That's only the beginning of what makes this car performance great. The shift times are quick, but I heard that they're not as quick and not better than the Ferrari's 458 and 488 considering their first attempt with dual clutch. But I heard that the 12C is really impressive to drive, from the simple lines of the body to carbon fiber tub for less weight, to the fact that the 12C has a lot of grip and handling and extremely fun to drive. If you want the 12C, it is cheapest McLaren as of today and costs about less than $150,000, which is a great deal for McLaren. Therefore, if you desire to test drive or own a McLaren, or if you are a fan of McLaren supercars, you should take a look at the 12C. Sometimes it can be forgettable than the F1. And regardless of the 12C's age, I bet it still drives like new, even if you buy it used. And I will definitely give this car a test drive in the future. Definitely worth the money than its main rival, the Ferrari 458. Now, additional facts about this car: the McLaren 12C was the first car to enter sports car racing with the McLaren 12C GT3 when McLaren announced the racing version of the 12C road car, the GT3, to compete in the FIA GT3, the Blancpain GT series, and the 24 Hours of Nürburgring, 24 Hours of Spa, and many more. The GT3 made its competitive debut in March 2012 and was tested at Paul Ricard to compete the full racing season. Compared to the road car, the GT3 engine was detuned to make it more tractable and balanced with over 500 horsepower, combined with a 6-speed sequential gearbox, and weighed down to 2,800 pounds to result of the homologation system. The racing wheel is used directly from the MP4-24 F1 car, The 12C GT3 was limited built for drivers, allowing them to reach the car's performance limit, and first appeared in 2011 and raced in Motorsports from 2011 to 2014 and was replaced by the successor 650S GT3. And the 12C GT3 just sounds amazing going around on the racetrack. So that was the end car review of the McLaren MP4-12C, and I hope you guys really did sit back and relax and enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, and I will see you next time for some more upcoming videos. And you are more than welcome to give me any car suggestions. And be sure to hit the notification bell to not miss my upcoming videos. But without further ado, let's walk to the McLaren 12C and get inside and put the keys into the ignition and start the engine. And then after that, we're going to test drive the race car version, the 12C GT3, and take it out for a spin at Circuit Pole Car where it was testing at several years ago. Make sure to adjust your headphone volume for both car sounds. Peace.